I'll tell you who's the real f***ing deal. Moses Itauma. Do you know who that motherfucker is?
The giant,
that 20-year-old heavyweight.
Oh yes.
Bro. Did you see what he did to Dillian Whyte?
Yes, he's a problem.
Bro.
Yes.
He's
no
a problem.
Yeah.
That guy's a
Is he only
real
20?
problem. 20 years old.
Yeah.
He's
Wow.
just slightly older than Tyson was when he won the title, so he can't be the youngest guy to ever win the title.
Damn.
This motherfucker is so fast. He moves like a middleweight.
I know.
Here's Itama.
Look at that.
Watch this
Look
guy.
at that.
It's great for what he do, his skills and his power and his attribute and he's smart.
Yeah.
He's definitely smart. He can box his ass off.
That is a bad dude. You hear me? That is a bad dude. You understand me? They don't give him credit because we don't see him that much.
I know we're in the same weight class. I know we can fight each other, but when it comes to Moses, I enjoy watching him.
He just seemed to dominate throughout, sharp, accurate, doesn't waste any.
Yeah, he had him on the back foot from the very beginning because he's a hard, sharp puncher and he's very clever. So he puts punches in the right place, and he's so quick to change from head to body, which makes him very, very dangerous.
In the harsh, unforgiving world of heavyweight boxing, it takes something truly exceptional to make seasoned champions stop and pay attention. But that's exactly what rising prospect Moses Itauma has accomplished.
Itama.
Look at that.
Watch this
Look at
guy.
that. That's that Samoan or whatever it is.
Bro, look at the skill. It's the skill, the movement back and
Dylan
forth.
White's no joke either. Dylan White's no joke. Look at this.
It'd be nice if you said his name right. It's Dillian, but
Dillian,
it's all right. Bro, he tuned this guy up. One round, man. I mean, again, Whyte is past his prime.
He's also gotten
and-
beat up. White's gotten.
Yeah, sure. Tyson Fury beat him up. A lot of guys
But
beat
this
him
is
up.
the
but
test
still,
you want for this young contender.
It's the way he did it. He
Yes.
did it like, I'm a world champion.
Mop the floor with him.
Yeah,
Didn't Deontay Wilder start him as well?
I think he's a good kid. I've said in the past that I think he can be a champion, and I do think, just like I said with Jared Anderson, I think Jared and Moses are very, very both good fighters. However, there's a lot of temptation. There's a lot of stuff outside of boxing that makes fighters not achieve what they should have done. And it's the same old story. If I woulda, shoulda, coulda. If I didn't get involved with these people, if I didn't go out and drink, if I didn't get involved with this, that and the other, then I would have if I woulda, shoulda, coulda. That's why I can sit here today and say I always wanted to not be a woulda, shoulda, coulda guy. I am the guy who did everything he could. And they're only starting off a career, so if they can stay on the right path and away from all the idiots, away from the women, away from the drunken nights, away from all the cranks, then I believe both of them can go on and win.
Adam Smith was candid following Moses Itauma's knockout victory over Jermaine Franklin, admitting the finish was devastating and a powerful statement. Itauma became the first fighter to stop Franklin, leaving ringside observers stunned and reinforcing the belief that the young heavyweight is quickly emerging as a serious and dangerous force.
I don't think there's been a better Magnificent Seven than tonight. What a night. What a really good show. Even matches, fantastic stories, drama, knockdowns, beautiful boxing. We had everything. I don't know what I'd go out and remember. Obviously, Moses, dynamic, phenomenal, an incredible performance, and we're all sort of wow and excited about him.
Indeed. And then with regards to Moses, everyone's giving him the plaudits which he fully deserves. Did you pick up any weaknesses tonight? Anything that you think, oh, maybe they need to work on that?
He got caught and he smiled. It was just in front of us. Yeah, I think that's good. You're going to get wet in boxing at some stage, and he's had everything go his way. Look, I mean, it was a 95% dominant performance, wasn't it? But it was good that Jermaine Franklin threw a few, and he was really brave in there. He could have sat it out after that temple shot in the third round, but the bell just about got there, and he came back a little bit in the fourth. And yeah, I just think Moses kept his composure. I think he wanted to get him out of there in very, very quick fashion, maybe in a round or two, and he got back to the corner and Ben just calmed him down and he got back to the game plan. I thought he worked the body brilliantly. He feinted fantastically tonight. I thought he was very aggressive. He stood in front of him. I think he wanted to make that statement, but I didn't see the uppercut coming, so I'm sure Jermaine Franklin or his team didn't either.
Former world champion Carl Froch, known for his blunt analysis, and veteran pundit Johnny Nelson, respected for his technical insight, were left highly impressed by Moses Itauma, highlighting his explosive knockout power reminiscent of a young Mike Tyson.
But initially, I could see, I liked how Moses was smart, he was clever. He didn't use his brute force as a big guy. He was brain. He boxed. That southpaw style, jab to the head, jab to the body, veer the shots like he was on the punch bag, kept his distance, didn't get giddy and exciting. And that kind of calm and patience for a man at 20 years old, going into his biggest test at this stage. It doesn't matter what age Dylan was at. It was a case of how he dealt with the pressure and how he dealt with the pace, how he dealt with the situation. Do you remember when Frank Bruno staggered Mike Tyson? And he, oh my God, you get excited or you get drunk on the success. None of that from Moses. Moses was cool. And so that probably would have happened at some point, because he showed initially in that first minute, he just had it all going from.
Nelson emphasized that most fighters would crumble under that level of pressure, while Frock praised how Moses handled the fight with maturity beyond his years. This calmness, combined with his raw knockout power, led both analysts to see flashes of Tyson's ferocity in him, a rare blend in today's heavyweight division.
That style, what you saw from Moses, but Moses' style, his youth, his pace, his IQ was spot on. You couldn't at that stage was spot on. Kept his distance, used his footwork, in, out, in, jab, boom, and then varied it up, body, head, dummy to the head with that southpaw style. So both hands. That's a lot to deal with from a young gun that's there. So you saw Dylan having to back off and trying to regroup himself. But Moses was sharp enough and smart enough to keep his distance but keep the pressure at the same time. Yeah. So in a way, giving him no way out. And I think how he executed it was spot on. It was bang on. And you know what? I think a lot of people probably thought Moses was going to do the job, but I don't think anybody thought Moses would do.
One of the defining moments in Moses Itauma's rise came against Dillian Whyte, where analysts emphasized its massive impact. Itauma didn't just win. He dismantled a proven, durable contender in a single round, something rarely seen, instantly turning heads and signaling his arrival as a serious force.
Ask you this question. Who's ever done that to Dillian Whyte before? The answer's no one. Because 10 years ago, when Dillian Whyte had about 1,000 less miles on the clock, AJ had him in all kinds of trouble in the first round. But Dillian survived. He came through and he lasted until the 7th with Anthony Joshua. I think Tyson Fury took 6 to take out Dillian Whyte, and Povetkin did him in 5, but Dillian Whyte did avenge that loss. So it's fair to say that although we've seen Dillian Whyte beaten and knock spark out, this is the quickest we have ever seen it done. And that's why I don't want to take anything away from Moses Itauma and say, it was always going to happen. And yes, many pundits did predict this to happen. But I'm happy to sit here and personally say that I didn't think it was going to happen, not in one.
Analysts emphasized that Dillian Whyte was far from out of shape or past his prime when he faced Moses Itauma, noting he remained a seasoned and dangerous contender with credible wins and top-level experience.
Really felt like we were going to get a showing out of the body snatcher, and despite me not feeling like he was going to win the fight, I did think we would see enough from him to show that he still has a little bit more to offer in this heavyweight division. And there is still a question there of whether he does or not, because many of the pundits that you'll see at the moment are saying that Dillian Whyte should retire, but they're not saying the same about Derek Chisora. They're not saying the same about plenty of fighters. And they did say the same about Joseph Parker after Joe Joyce beat him. So I wouldn't be so quick to write him off. But at the pinnacle of the heavyweight division, not anymore for Dillian Whyte, in my opinion. But that doesn't mean that the body snatcher can't still be in fun fights. And hopefully in more fun build-ups, because this one was a little bit dull, and a lot of people were saying that it's because Dillian's scared, he's rocked up, he's not confident.
Derek Chisora emphasized that Itauma's age can be deceptive, as his aggression, composure, and hunger make him far more dangerous than many expect. He even criticized the matchmaking, suggesting that Whyte wasn't ready for such a high-risk opponent after a layoff.
Compare Moses to Mike Tyson, do you understand? Because you can't.
You actually can't. So do you think it's a bit unfair that he...
I mean, like everybody's trying to say he's like, Mike Tyson's a lie. There's only one Mike Tyson. I don't know why we're trying to put his name again with Mike Tyson. No.
He's Moses. He's Moses.
Mike Tyson smokes weed. Mike Tyson is a vicious guy. Moses is not that guy. And Mike Tyson didn't have his dad around. Moses got his dad, his mum, his brothers. No, you cannot compare that. Even in the ring, it's different. Listen, guys didn't want to spar Mike Tyson. Guys didn't want to fight Mike Tyson. You understand? People, let me explain that to you, understand? People used to get to the stadiums before they opened to see Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Mike Tyson is different.
I think what Moses was comparing himself being to win it at 20 years of age.
I don't care. There's only one Mike Tyson. You gotta compare.
Is that right? Derek's all along.
I'm with Derek on this. I'm certainly not going to argue.
Moses is Moses.
Yeah.
He's got his own path. So we cannot compare Moses to Mike Tyson.
We shouldn't.
Never.
Shouldn't.
Yeah. We could never do that. Yeah. There's always been one Muhammad Ali. Everybody's tried it and they cannot do it.
Yes.
Yeah?
100%.
Do you understand? So people cannot say, oh, it's like mine. No. There's only one Mike Tyson and there's only one Muhammad Ali.
That's it. And there only will ever be one Mike Tyson.
Joseph Parker's trainer has also recognized the rise of Moses Itauma, calling him the future of boxing. He added that a fight between Parker and Moses would be exciting and meaningful for Itauma, with that matchup potentially serving as a gateway to a world title.
Moses Itauma is as good as we all think he is. He wins the fight, and he wins it in fashion.
Yeah, Moses Itauma, it's almost like they're picking opponents for him already. One of the opponents that has been at least earmarked for Moses this year maybe is Joseph Parker. Let's hear from Joseph Parker's manager and trainer, Andy Lee. This is what he had to say about a potential Joseph Parker versus Moses Itauma showdown.
For me, Moses is the future of the heavyweight division. For Moses, it's a risky fight. For Joe, it's a risky fight because there's no upside to beat Moses for Joe. There is. He's building his name. He's a significant heavyweight now, Moses, but he's an up and coming guy. And Joe's already at the top.
Moses Itauma versus Joseph Parker.
Of course, I think Joseph Parker is the interim champion. Moses is number one. That title becomes vacant. That's how that fight happens.
Yeah.
That title, Alexander Usyk decides he doesn't want to go in against Joseph Parker because that's the next fight that's been ordered, mandated by the WBO. He relinquishes that title. Then it's a must-happen fight because it's a case of Moses Itauma getting the opportunity against Joseph Parker with the world title on the line. So you think that's enough temptation for me to go right now because there's a lot of people talking about don't go too soon and all that, but when you get those sort of opportunities, maybe that is the right fight. I mean, I don't know where you're at on that, Simon, but I think...
It's ready for a Joseph Parker? I mean, yeah, if he's number one in the division, the validity of that fight for both fighters sits up on the fact that if the belt's stripped away from Alexander Usyk, which we think it will because he'll vacate and not take the fight against...
Moses Itauma built a strong foundation well before turning professional, going unbeaten as an amateur with 24 victories and 11 stoppages while earning gold medals at school, junior, youth European, and world levels, showing early signs of an advanced skill set. Observers noted even at 18 how refined his footwork, defense, and sharp combinations were, reflecting years of disciplined training and ring experience. That background molded him into a calm, calculated boxer, ready for the professional ranks sooner than most. His early commitment laid the base that now makes his rapid rise seem almost effortless, as he competes with the confidence and precision of far more experienced fighters.
How many amateur fights he'd had. For someone who looked so polished and was turning pro so young, bear in mind he'd only just turned 18 at the time, right? This is 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago now. I really wanted to know how many amateur fights he had to look as polished as he did. And in that interview, he told me it was something like 22, 23 amateur fights, which is really, it's quite a low amount. It was a bit of a kind of land when he said it. I remember at the time thinking, huh? And then obviously you're interviewing, so you want to try and get the next question. You don't want to be just stopped in your tracks, but it genuinely nearly did stop me in my tracks, given how polished he looked and how good he looked. You know, I was thinking, yikes, that's actually a bit of a strange one for someone to look that polished in such short.
Andy Lee, a respected trainer and former fighter, provided a fascinating look into Moses Itauma's behind-the-scenes preparation, sharing stories from sparring sessions with Joseph Parker. Lee revealed that the young heavyweight went toe-to-toe with the former world champion in intensely competitive sessions. According to Lee, these sparring rounds were more than practice, they were wars. His account is especially revealing, as sparring often exposes qualities not seen in the spotlight. The fact that Moses could hold his own and even challenge Parker in tough exchanges speaks volumes about his readiness for elite competition. Considering Parker's durability and skill, it's remarkable for a prospect to make such an impression at an early stage.
I was fighting Jang. Moses came out for a couple of weeks and yeah, they had some great spars. They were tough spars. tough 4 round. They went to war basically for the 4 rounds. 4 rounds that Moses was in was like a war. And yeah, he's a good guy to be around as well. We enjoyed his company. It's justified to an extent because he's doing what he should be doing. He's knocking out all his opponents in a great style. And people like knockouts, you know, so he went by knockout. It gets people's attention. I think, it's warranted, some of the hype. In this day and age, it's always over too much. The criticism too much and the hype is too much on either end of the spectrum. But he's still young and still developing, still has things to learn and improve on. But for right now, he's doing everything right.
Moses Itauma has made it clear that he intends to build his reputation by taking on tough British opponents as he rises through the heavyweight ranks. Instead of chasing easy fights, he's targeting credible domestic fighters like Solomon Dakers to prove himself and earn respect on the UK scene before moving on to larger global battles. Itauma believes that facing strong local rivals will accelerate his development, sharpen his skills, and add meaningful wins to his record, giving him credibility both at home and internationally. His approach reflects hunger, ambition, and smart strategy. He's not just pursuing knockouts, but real competition that will prepare him for world-class challenges later in his career.
We mentioned a few names. Obviously, we've got like Justice Hooney, Dempsey McKean, Simon Keane, Tom Schwartz. But I feel like it's going to be nice to get a British fight under my belt. So I feel like I'm looking for the winner of Solomon Dakers and David Adley, Fraser Clark. Johnny Fisher did really impress me the weekend. I did not think that he was going to do that against
Alan Babbage.
And I feel like now he's someone to be taken serious. I don't think he's just like a ticket seller for Eddie Hearn. I actually do believe that he's a man to be taken serious now. So even that's a potential.
Gareth A. Davies has weighed in on the exciting possibility of a future clash between Moses Itauma and Anthony Joshua, suggesting that Itauma has the tools to challenge, or even defeat, the former world champion if the fight comes to fruition. Davies has often compared Itauma's rapid rise and skill set to the division's established stars, highlighting his blend of youth, speed, power, and tactical sharpness as factors that could trouble Joshua in a head-to-head matchup. While Joshua remains one of the most accomplished heavyweights of his era, Davies believes Itauma's fearlessness and physical gifts could give him an advantage, particularly against a slower, more predictable veteran. This perspective has ignited debate across the boxing world about whether a generational passing of the torch could arrive sooner rather than later.
Davies had this to say about AJ possibly taking on Moses Itauma. And he had to say this. He said, I don't think Joshua gets beyond 3 rounds with this kid. Damn. Let me counterpunch. Gareth Davis, he's never been a fan of AJ because he was a fanboy of Tyson. So you know you can't have it both ways. You can't be a fanboy of Tyson and then a fan of AJ. That just won't happen. So I expect him to say that. I expect him to say something like that. But is it true? If AJ decided to fight Moses Itauma, AJ, I think, knows Moses because remember, they were in the same camp for a while. They sparred together. They shared time together. Moses never fought Dillian Whyte or never sparred Dillian Whyte. He sparred everybody else. Joshua, Fury, Parker. He sparred a lot of people. Akoli, you know, the list goes on. But I'll say this. I think AJ fighting Moses Itauma, I don't know what would be in it for Moses versus what would be in it for AJ beside a hard-ass night.
Gareth A. Davies has weighed in on the exciting possibility of a future clash between Moses Itauma and Anthony Joshua, suggesting that Itauma has the tools to challenge, or even defeat, the former world champion if the fight comes to fruition. Davies has often compared Itauma's rapid rise and skill set to the division's established stars, highlighting his blend of youth, speed, power, and tactical sharpness as factors that could trouble Joshua in a head-to-head matchup. While Joshua remains one of the most accomplished heavyweights of his era, Davies believes Itauma's fearlessness and physical gifts could give him an advantage, particularly against a slower, more predictable veteran. This perspective has ignited debate across the boxing world about whether a generational passing of the torch could arrive sooner rather than later.
Event against what we would class as a commercial name. There was a lot of pressure on him last week. I think when me and Simon sat down last week on Simon's Talk Boxing show, I think we were all on the same page that we thought Ituma would come through and that he would win the fight. It was whether he would do it quick or whether he would do it late. And you know, when you have a fight week like that, lots of the eyes of the world are on you. As a 20-year-old man, we need to keep reminding everybody just how old this young fella is. I thought he dealt with it absolutely fantastically. All week, the interviews that I watched, he looked like he would bang on. He speaks with... He's such a stoic guy, the way that he speaks, with such calm and reassuredness. And then to get in there on a Saturday evening and do what he did in the manner that he did it.
You're with Adam and that, Simon. He ticked every single box.
Well, I think Adam's assessment was absolutely right about the nature of the event. A headlining event where all the focus is on him, all the pressure, to some extent, despite his protestations during interviews during the course of the week that he didn't feel under pressure. There was always this indication that there was pressure because he goes into a fight, people expect him to knock people out. People are comparing him to a young Mike Tyson. You know, at this stage in his life, Mike Tyson had 28 fights before he fought Trevor Berbick to win a world title. This kid's had 12. The flip side of the argument is that Dillian Whyte was, unfortunately for us, was precisely what we had forecasted, which was a lamb to the slaughter in terms of a seemingly disenfranchised fighter that wasn't mentally in the right place, it seems, at any point during the course of the last week. I think that was amplified on Saturday night, watching him walk into the ring. I know that we do have a tendency to analyse ring walks more than we once used to, but they form part of the thinking of how...
Veteran British boxer Lawrence Oakley, celebrated for his skill across multiple weight divisions and respected for his candid assessments, lavished praise on Moses Itauma following his stunning first-round demolition of Dillian Whyte. Oakley didn't just admire the result. He stressed that what he witnessed was far beyond what's typical for someone so young, calling Itauma not a normal 20-year-old. He highlighted how the young heavyweight combined raw power with tactical maturity and composure, traits usually reserved for seasoned professionals. Oakley noted that Itauma's ability to stay calm while controlling the fight's pace and landing precise, fight-ending shots speaks volumes about his skill and potential. That level of poise under pressure, according to Oakley, suggests Itauma isn't merely a prodigy. He's a rising force poised to redefine expectations for boxers of his age and generation.
The thing is if you haven't sparred him or whatever else, you get a first-hand experience. Like, oh wow, this isn't a normal 16-year-old, 20-year-old, whatever else. It's a real fighter from young, let alone now. So,
what's your take? Has Moses Itauma already established himself as the most dangerous young heavyweight? Share your thoughts in the comments below.